In this lecture, we're going to talk about the noise generator in Massive. We've moved through the oscillators as well as the modulation oscillator, so now it's time to move on to noise. And it's down here at the bottom left. So for the purposes of auditioning these different noise types, we're going to deselect or mute oscillator 1 so that we're just dealing with noise. Now if you play a note here, you'll realize that nothing happens because the amplitude is by default turned all the way down. So let's turn the amplitude up and hear that. So that's plain white noise, and the color wheel is turned all the way up. So first let's talk about what noise is. It's an audio generation tool that uses samples of, well, noise. And noise, by definition, is atonal, so it doesn't have a pitch or a tone to it. It's just noise. White noise is like what you hear on a television when the channel is broken or whatever. That's what that sounds like. So let's talk about the controls that we have here. First, we have a drop-down menu to select the different types of noise. Bright noise, brown noise, tape hiss, metallic, paper, sounds like crumpled paper. That, murmur. It's kind of sounds like people murmuring. And then we have the amplitude knob, which just controls the output level. And we also have a color knob, and the color knob shifts the overall frequency spectrum of the noise. So if it's all the way up, then we're using high frequencies. When we drop it down, then we're utilizing just the lower parts of the frequency spectrum. Okay, and you can create really cool effects with this. It's super common in pop music and EDM and stuff like that. So for the purposes of hearing how that sounds, let's use a macro control. And if this is moving too quickly, we're going to get more into modulation sources and handles and things like that. But for right now, let's just try to follow along. So I'm going to adjust these to where I want them to start. The color is going to start right about halfway, and the amp's going to start pretty much near the bottom. And I'm going to drag macro 2 to the first slot here and the first slot here. And I'm going to adjust my range upwards so that I'm moving from the middle to the top and from the beginning to the end here of the amp knob. So that means when I play my note, it's using these settings, color at about halfway, amp at about 9 o'clock. And then when I increase this macro knob, it's moving over the range of this modulation. So as I said, we're going to talk in detail about modulation sources, but this is just a way to show you what you can do with noise. Because you might think, why would you just want to add noise to your sound? But you can create some really cool effects using just the noise generator, even in Massive. This is a great way to lead into a chorus or something. You sweep it up. Now, noise is also a cool way to just beef up your sound. So let's remove these modulation sources, and we're going to select bright noise. And then we're going to create this kind of a huge layered synth sound. I'm going to activate all 3 oscillators, move this up an octave, move this up 2 octaves, and bring this down 7 semitones. And then let's just adjust this sense a little bit so that there's a little bit of a detune, like that. And I can throw on my bright noise, pull the color all the way up, and the amp all the way up. So that bright noise just adds a little bit of fuzz to it, and without distorting any of the richness of my synth. So those are just some options. Those are just a few things that you can do with the noise, but you can experiment with all these different types of noise, play with the color, modulate it over time, and now you're starting to create your own unique sounds. So that is the noise section. We'll see you in the next lecture.